I was blushing when he was talking about me just then. Like, do I know that guy? Yeah. Good afternoon. Happy International Women's Day. I was talking to Melissa Blair, the acting senior sergeant. Yes. You let them boys know you are in charge. Yeah? Let them boys know. With all due humility, it takes a lot. I grew up in a household of 8 children. Yes. My mother had to deal with all of us. Can you imagine the morning traffic in that household? Uh, but of course, I wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for her decisions and her bravery. And I think it's something the world has not yet taken into account, that women make decisions that either make a family or break a family. I'm lucky to have been at the end of one where my mom insisted, even though she had no formal education, to make decisions that have brought me here. I'm not taking away from all of her credit, but it's an amazing thing. So thank you to everyone who's put this event together to recognize women. I'm going to share with you a poem, but I want you to find your way through it. Uh, here's an interesting fact about me, just to get it out the way. I used to be short. That's a true story. That's a true story. So here's one, and I hope you find your way through it. I grew up in a family of 8 children. My goodness, the morning traffic. The best part about it, whenever something broke at home, I was innocent till proven guilty. There are 7 more suspects. But I'm the middle child, so can you imagine the morning traffic? I was the one who was always blamed by the jury of his peers. But you see, in 1999, my mother made a decision. In 2000, she executed. At around 3 a.m. one morning, we found ourselves packing suitcases that did not contain much, and we were jammed into a van. I wanted to stuff my childhood belongings and all of my friends into mine. Impossible, I know. I tried. Some things, regardless of how far back we stretch our arms to reach, will always get left behind. I learned children learn to let go. We found ourselves in Cairo, a pretty decent temporary place considering we were refugees. Cairo was hot. Cairo was so hot, I got a permanent tan. I did. Nothing could have prepared us for the odds. Sometimes it isn't the challenges faced, it's whether you choose to follow through. My mother leaped, and she always talks about, if you're not aiming for the stars, don't bother looking up. She says, those with parachutes hesitate to fly, and those without take a leap of faith. We, at the extensiveness of her diligence at the Australian Embassy in Cairo, my mom sought asylum on our behalf. An Australian citizen valued my mother's efforts. It's the only reason I'm granted this platform and a home where my siblings and I could break things and we would never have to break up for survival. At the landing of a pen stroke, someone sealed my family's fate. It's only fitting to take this moment and say, thank you, Australia. You used to be kind, and I know you still can to those who need it most. Thank you. I talk about my mom a lot. Me and the guys before were at home, and my mom just came out dressed in this African fabric. She was just showing off to these guys. I'm standing there like, Mom, you're embarrassing me. This is not cool. This is not cool. But of course, I grew up in a household of 8 children, and my sister just gave birth recently to my 3rd niece. And I was at the post office trying to get my passport, and the lady at the post office said, can you get your real birth certificate? So I went back home and I asked my mom for my real birth certificate. So she gave me all these stacks of papers, and I was flipping through them, and it says, my mother was born on the 1st of January. My sister was born on the 1st of January. My older brother was born on the 1st of January. I was born on the 1st of January. Now, my dad couldn't have been that precise. It's just. But here's the thing, while we were going through that transition, I had to come to terms with the very fact that my nieces are the reason why what we went through as refugees is something that we can now forgive, because we've got this opportunity to live. So me and my mother went to went to Coles to get a birthday cake for my sister. And while we were walking, she was telling me about how she thinks racism is an illusion. It's a form of self-pity that people use because they are too insensitive. And while we were having this conversation on our way to Woolworth, a lady pushing a trolley, her baby kid yelled out, "Mommy, a black guy." And my mother looked at the child ever so lovingly and said, "No, he's chocolate." Have you ever tried correcting your mom in public? It doesn't add up. But I think at that moment, I knew what it meant to start to acknowledge people's curiosity. And my mother is entirely the reason why I am the character that I am today. And Maya Angelou, one of my favorite poets, emphasized that you have to learn to pay attention when your elders are speaking. But then again, you have to learn to listen when women are speaking, because theirs is wisdom. Men have knowledge. Sorry for all the men that I just that don't agree with that, but there it goes. I'm going to close out with this poem. I hope you find your way through it. My mom says, you have to start wearing shoes that have laces. And make sure you tie them loosely, so during the day when they come apart, you will take the time to kneel and tie your shoelaces. In that process, remember to be indulgent in gratitude. At first, I did not understand what she meant, but these days, it's starting to make sense. It's not so much so what we've been through, it's what we will get to make of this scenario. The stigma of having lived as a refugee is something people will struggle to understand, and that's understandable. Some people have asked me, have you been back home? The irony is, if I could be anywhere in the world, I would be home. The trouble is, home doesn't even know I exist. I used to think this was temporary, yet it's fast approaching permanent, and I never took it for granted, but unless you understand the hurdles, then you are far from understanding the predicament. The problem is the diligent task of trying to fit in. Learning a new language, one of the perks is you lose yours. I got so good speaking English, I lost my mother's native tongue. Will I ever be forgiven? Will I be able to learn it back? How am I supposed to do that when I've never been home, and I highly doubt I ever will? And by the looks of things, I highly doubt they ever want us back. But it's all good. I reminisce about the home that I will never have. Said it's all good when it ain't. I can't keep lying to myself. How is it good when I've never met grandma? Never got to trace her wrinkles, never got to walk within her shadow or be showered by the kisses grandchildren get. I've missed out on so much, hearing what home is about. A part of me cries, a part of me dies. It ain't all good. I reminisce about the home that I will never have. When asked, have you been back home? In my heart I cry, but my face never shows it, because I smilingly answer, if I could be anywhere in the world, I would be home. The trouble is, home doesn't even know I exist. So I remain a stranger, knocking at somebody else's door. They peek, but at least they notice. Mom says, people are just people. You have to understand that we are the sinners in this world full of saints. And we have to imitate everyone who crosses our path. Thank you so very much for having me.